Well, hey there everybody, this is Snackbox coming to you from a little bit of an overcast, but still a very beautiful day here in Atlanta, Georgia. Getting ready to talk to you about the Collegiate West Segment 2. This is a doozy of a section. It is incredibly beautiful. I am so very excited that if you decided to go west, you will be waking up at some point in your life in the Collegiate West Segment 2. We've got a lot to cover, not a lot of time. Let's get to it. You know the difference between a really good tea and just an average tea? It's an average tea. That's a good tea. So the Collegiate West Segment 2 goes from Sheep Gulch to the Cottonwood Pass trailhead. This is a huge section, especially after you just left the shortest segment in the trail. You're heading into one of the longest segments in the trail. This one is 25.9 miles. It has 6,100 feet of elevation gain and just over 4,100 feet of elevation descent. Those numbers sound really daunting, but just remember it's all a law of averages. There are some big climbs in this segment, but there are also some really beautiful stretches where you'll be able to pack in some big miles pretty quickly. So don't let those miles scare you. Know that there are a couple of big climbs, but this is just like if you had gone east, you would be hitting some pretty heavy climbs at the same point as well. Don't let that intimidate you at all. One of the most distinguishing features of this segment of the trail is that it passes twice through the Collegiate Peaks wilderness. For those of you bikepackers out there, you'll know that this means you're going to need to take a detour. For those of you backpackers, however, this is really great news because it is a little bit of a break from the bicyclists on the trail. What's interesting too is that this section heads into the Collegiate Wilderness, heads out by the Texas Creek of the wilderness area, and then back in after the Texas Creek trailhead. Around that Texas Creek trailhead, you are going to find not only some mountain bikers, but actually this is a segment that is pretty popular with dirt bikers. So you need to be really aware of this for two reasons. One is you just need to keep your wits about you and make sure you're keeping an eye out for them. You don't want them coming around the corner really quickly, although unlike mountain bikers, you can often hear them well before you see them. The other reason is that it means that a lot of the trails will have been dug into quite a bit by some of those dirt bike tires, so they can tend to be a little bit muddier as well, which means there might be a little bit more mud and a little more mosquitoes in those segments. So just be aware of that as you're making your way from there. Now let's get into 3 tips that I think will really help you make the most of the Collegiate West Segment 2. The first thing is you want to notice on your map in your data book. If you haven't ordered a data book, by the way, it is time. They have just produced the new one. I love it. I mean, these data books are just incredible, by the way. The new data book just came out, and if you look at the data book for Collegiate West Segment 2, you're going to notice a little dot on that map that shows a town of Winfield. Winfield is not a real town. It's an old ghost town or an abandoned mining town. I'm not sure exactly what the definition would be per se, but there are a bunch of little old houses and buildings in that area. So my first tip is schedule some time to explore Winfield. It's not going to take you a ton of time, but as you're plotting out your day for that afternoon or that morning, whenever you're going to pass through Winfield, schedule an extra half hour to maybe have a cup of coffee there, maybe have your breakfast or your lunch there. Just explore it a little bit. Set some time aside. This whole trip is about exploring Colorado, and this is a really great historic piece of Colorado. Check out Winfield. It is on the trail. You can't miss it. You're going to have to walk by it anyway. All I'm saying here, schedule a little bit extra time there to really soak it in. If you're a photographer, this is a great place to kind of set up shop and try to catch the golden hour and see some of the light as it hits those buildings and the mountains in the distance. It's a great spot. For my next tip, I'm going to have to tell you a little bit of a story about my first time through the Collegiate West, and that was when I did the Collegiate Loop. I did the Collegiate Loop, and this was my first big solo backpacking trip. It's 160 miles around the Collegiate Range. It's a beautiful trip. If you are new to backpacking and just looking for a great entry point to a longer hike, I highly recommend the Collegiate Loop. I started in Avalanche, which is in segment 13 on the east, the Collegiate East, and I went clockwise, which meant when I came through this segment, I was going northbound, where next year when I hit the trail, I'm going southbound through this segment. And I hiked and hiked and hiked, and it was a really tough day, and I kept looking at the Lake Ann Pass, and I kept thinking it'd be nice to get over that pass, but it is just getting late in the day, the sun's starting to go down, I'm not sure, and so I set up shop early in a spot. I mean, there were widowmakers everywhere. For those of you new to backpacking, widowmakers are trees that are dead but still standing, and they are not a great place to camp. You never want to camp under a dead tree that's still standing. Unfortunately, because of the beetle kill, there are a lot of these trees in Colorado. And so I set up in a section where the beetle kill had taken out a lot of these trees, but it was my only spot that I could set up because the area south of Lake Ann Pass was really heavily sloped. It was the only spot I could get. And I remember getting a really restless night of sleep where I kept hearing creaks and thinking, this one's it. This is the one that's going to get me. And then I woke up the next morning and I marched maybe a mile or so to Lake Ann Pass, Pass. And immediately at the base of Lake Ann Pass, I started hearing voices of people who were happy and camping because they made it over the pass going southbound right before I was going northbound. And they were all happy because it was a beautiful spot just on the other side of the pass, and they had set up shop there and they were pretty happy, unlike me. And then I got over the pass, and from the top of the pass, I looked down on Lake Ann, which is incredible. It is incredible. And there were 3 tents around the lake, and I couldn't help but feel frustrated the whole morning because if I would have just pushed a little farther, I would have made it to Lake Ann, been able to camp at this lake that, honest to goodness, I have wanted to camp there ever since that morning. So my second tip for you, long way around, is to stay at Lake Ann. Set up shop somewhere in the vicinity of Lake Ann so you can get some great photos. It is incredible. There are a lot of flat spots there. You can camp far enough away from the lake that you can still leave no trace, but close enough to the lake that you can get a view and get easy water. I very much recommend staying just before Lake Ann Pass. That also sets you up really nicely to hop over the pass first thing in the morning when it's nice and safe and you're not above tree line at the point of the lightning storms rolling in the afternoon. And then finally, my final piece of advice for this segment. Let me start that one over. I'm just stumbling over my words. And my final piece of advice for this segment is to look ahead to the end of this segment. At the end of this segment, you'll be about 40 miles in, and you're going to come to the Cottonwood Pass trailhead. This actually is right at the top of the Cottonwood Pass. There is a parking lot there, and it is a very, very, very common place for people from Buena Vista or Gunnison to take a day trip up just to see the mountains because they can get up to the pass without having to hike it. So a lot of people who aren't able to hike the trail or aren't physically able or don't want to hike for whatever reason, they drive up there, which means this is a great spot to catch a hitch if you want to go into Gunnison or back down into Buena Vista. So if you need to do a resupply, if you need to have somebody meet you at any point, start planning your days and start looking ahead to the Cottonwood Pass trailhead because this is a particularly good spot with very easy access into 2 cities along the trail. Personally, I would recommend Buena Vista because it has a public shower, it has all of the amenities, and really easy to get in and out of, and you're going to find most of the people at Cottonwood Pass are going to or from Buena Vista anyway. So plan around the end of the segment of the Cottonwood Pass trailhead. This is a great spot for a lot of different exit points or meetup points for friends and family. Say you have a friend who just wants to meet you for a few days on the trail, have them meet you at the Cottonwood Pass trailhead, hike with them down to Monarch Pass. You're in great shape. It's one of the most beautiful stretches of the trail. My favorite stretch of trail is coming up soon in just a couple of segments at Tin Cup Pass, and you are going to find all sorts of beautiful stuff for that person to really get a couple of days. So you get the idea here. Mark it on your maps and know that you have a lot of options when you get there. Well, I hope this was useful to you. I hope as you all are planning your trips, you're getting really excited. I know I'm getting excited. My favorite thing about this whole thing has been planning the trip. I love planning trips. As you can tell, I make videos about planning trips. So this is my most exciting thing. I love it. If you have any questions for me at all, I hope you'll leave them in the comments below. I hope as well that you'll like and subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date on all of the segments as I put them out. I've had a great time getting to know everybody. You know who you are. I am just super excited that we are building this little community here and having a great time learning about the Colorado Trail. And then finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. As promised, we have these 2 beautiful double-walled stainless steel outside comfort zone coffee mugs, tea mugs, wine glasses, whatever you want to call it. As promised, I am going to give these away. We did a drawing, and I am happy to announce the winner of the drawing for the month of February is Jules S. Jules, if you will send me a message either on here, I don't know if you can send a message on here, or hit me up on Instagram, let me know where I can ship these off. I will get them in the mail to you. And if you didn't win that prize, which is pretty much all of you except for Jules S, not even pretty much, it's entirely all of you except Jules S, you can still feel like a winner. So hit me up on Instagram at Backcountry Champion, and I will send you one of these guys here. This is an outside comfort zone sticker. I will mail it to you for free. You don't even have to follow me on Instagram. You just have to let me know where to ship this. I would gladly get one in the mail to you to say thank you for your support of this channel and of me as we do this project, planning out our trips of the Colorado Trail. So excited to send these out and say thank you to you. So just let me know where they need to go. Hope you're doing well. Hope it's warm where you are. And I will talk to you soon when we talk about the Collegiate West segment 3. Thanks everybody. Snack box out. Do you know why the cowboy got a dachshund? Somebody told him to get a long little doggy. Sorry.